Hello traders, Damien here. I decided to make a short video of this question that was raised early in the thread. Sorry that it got delayed. I was meeting with Scott Carney yesterday, and we always have a lot to talk about when we get together, so I apologize for the delay. But getting back to this, let's answer these questions and then we'll move on to my chart, and we'll go ahead and go through specifics in the order flow. Okay, so it says here, case number one, the first retracement was about a 618. He's talking about this one right here. The second one is about an 88.6, talking about this one right here. The projection did not even reach the 127. He's talking about this right here, and we did not achieve a one-to-one projection. And that is true. A, B, C, D to the downside. From the 1 and 2, we can say that the market is slowing down and we should expect a change in direction and move up. That is not necessarily true, but we can say that it is in fact slowing down, as price did not even get to the 127, which is an expectation that I have on a break of a low. So that signifies weakness. It does not necessarily mean that the market is going to change direction. Okay, case number two, the moves in those two circles are showing strength from the bears. That is absolutely true. It is showing a lot of strength in the bears. Why did they not capitalize on that strength? It's a very telling sign that the expectation is likely to not come through. We'll get more into that when we get to my chart. The break of the long yellow line, and we are, until the break of the long yellow line, we're in a downtrend. So until we break this line, we're in a downtrend. That is true. However, price should not come back up there to test that area. And if it does, then the expectation for that new structural low becomes an almost unreasonable expectation. That red retracement was too small. He's talking about this one. Yes, it was very small. That doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. Should it have even corrected there? No. But it is true. It's a very short one. I had case one in mind, but from the 1, 2, 3, I was expecting a new structure low, or at least a retest of the lows. Okay, that is not an unreasonable expectation. However, there's order flow considerations here that would have had you processing this with caution, even though your expectations were still for price to reach those lows and make a new structure low. How will I find out that this is a complex correction in real time? Well, it's actually pretty simple, and this is a topic that some of you are still getting hung up on. So we know that price, this is a clear high, this is a clear low, this is the swing, this is the correction. Okay, once price comes up here and comes down and does not make a new structure low and price corrects again, we're still not in a complex correction, although you could say you are. You could say that we are, but we don't officially say that we're in a complex correction until that short-term order flow, which is this little nonsense here, gets broken. Once that gets broken to the high side, we make a short-term new structure high somewhere in this area, then we could say that we're in a complex correction. Okay, now where do we say that our expectations are weakening? Our expectations become weakened once we break above the potential lower high here. Once we break above this lower high, especially this deep into this, our expectations are in trouble. Okay, but keep in mind that trouble does not mean failure. It means weakening. The expectation is weakening. Okay, I don't want people to get confused, and I don't want you guys to start changing expectations prematurely. Okay, but notice the difference between here when we had short-term break and here we have price not do that at all. So although we had a bunch of little short-term corrections on the short-term structure analysis, expectations played out 100%, which kept you what? It kept you in line with the overall global expectations. The short term never failed. Had the short term failed here, we would have been in a complex correction. okay? And until this high is broken, the expectation remains, okay? But once you see price getting back here and breaking this area up here and getting trading into this general area, what does that do for your expectations? Okay, but we're going to get into our my chart now, and we're going to process this from the order flow perspective. So I have pulled in the Euro futures, which is the same as the Euro dollar. I also put the 2-minute chart because there is a little more data on the 1-minute chart. So I wanted to get the price action that was closely resembling the 1-minute spot forex. So this is the new structure low, this is the lower high, and this is the new structure low, and this is the area in question. Okay, his first oval was drawn here, the second oval was done there. Let me draw that in real quick. He referenced that area, and he referenced this area. This was the yellow line of structure that he had. This was his complex correction question. This was the 1-to-1 to the downside. The 127. $127 was touched on my chart. Not exactly sure what happened there. And the 1-to-1 almost completed. Okay, now this was a news related event. You can tell by the volume of the candles and by the rejection that this was an extremely high volatility situation at 8:30, which is consistent with a news release. What it was doesn't matter, but you can see that some of this price action was due to the volatility created from a news release. Okay, so what did price actually achieve here? Price did achieve the 618, and so we can erase that. And what did price achieve on this second one? Price closed below the 78.6. Okay, so that's not all that important right now. Let's process the actual order flow. Okay, so we can see price came down here. Okay, had a generalized weak pullback, even though corrected back into the area of structure. Okay, and you can see how many candles it took to get price to come back up here. Okay, I know this is an exaggerated number, but I want to make a point. Okay, 8,000 candles to get back up here. Okay, and price produced very few, in retrospect, very few candles to achieve a weak new structure low. We had price acceleration here. We had a lot of volume entering the market here. This is due to that news event. It doesn't matter. News is volatility, plain and simple. And we achieved a weak new structure low that did not complete the 1-to-1. However, price did hit the 127 extension and rejected it sharply. Okay, and price came back, tried to get a little bit further down to achieve that new structure low, and then price corrected. How did price correct? That's why I asked the question, how did price correct? Because as we can see here, we had an extreme amount of volume and momentum enter the market on the correction, something that we did not have here. Look at the momentum. Let's make that so it can be clear. Let's copy this. Oops, apologize for that, guys. We can see the extreme difference. The extreme difference from here to here. Okay? In retrospect also, what kind of a correction did we get here? Even though we achieved a 618, not much bigger, than a 618, but how does that look from a depth perspective from this swing compared to this swing? Look at the difference. Okay, came across here. Look at the difference. Okay, this one is clearly much deeper, much angrier, on much more momentum, on much greater volume. Okay, so is it reasonable to see this much depth, this much momentum, with this much potential strength pushing price lower? Okay, no, it is not. And some of that still played out as the market reacted, okay, on a expectation of a deep correction, because we had a weak projection, weak new structure low. So the expectation was for a deeper correction than we had here, and we got that, but we got that on a tremendous amount of volume that was atypical to this. You know, we shouldn't have had it should have been something more like this. You see, should have been more like this. Strength, okay, should equal weakness on the correction. Strength should equal weakness on the correction. We did not have weakness on the correction. We had a huge surge of energy back to on the bull side. And then we had some of that strong volume that we saw here come into the market, but they were not able to capitalize on that and even test the lows. Is that a telling sign? Yes, because where did price find some support? Okay, in this general area of structure. Okay, so price came down, found a little bit of support, wasn't strong enough, react to some minor structure here, not a big deal. What does this look like? Volume and strength coming in again, right? Was price able to get past these lows here? No. What happened? Another rotation press to the upside. Probably going to get what? A complex correction, as now we expect this to possibly taken out or tested again. So once price closes above this little area here, we are in a complex correction for sure. Okay, and now what we want to see, especially with this much strength coming down here, is that this area right here needs to be respected. Price should not, price should not get past this area. Okay, so now we see that we have here an area of structure. We have some structure here, so we can, and I'm going to teach you guys this in the next video, that we have structure in this general area that price could not get past. Came down with a lot of strength, came back up with a lot of strength, failed to make a new low, made a higher low. Expectation now is for price to, at the very least, to get past this on the short term. Still, the expectation is for this to be respected and for price to make a new structure low. Okay, so if we know this situation, we can do what? Project our lines forward. Remember I said, don't be afraid to project lines forward and see what is likely to happen. Okay, so although our expectations are for this area to hold in the short term, to help us understand that the expectation has now weakened. Once we close above this, expectation has weakened. Once we get above that 78.6 and we close above that 78.6, our expectation is in serious trouble. Okay, so we close above that 78.6 right here. Okay, so our expectation now has severely weakened. It's almost an unreasonable expectation at this point, as we can see where there should have been strength on the bears and the ability to take price to these lows completely vanished after this point, and every attempt to correct or for the bears to come back into this market was met with greater buying pressure, which all it did was push price further up. Okay, and now that price has come back up here into this area of resistance, okay, we see that the bears tried to come in and respect the area as we would expect, but they were unable to do what? To capitalize on that too, and the bulls came back in, and even on the very short term, price was not able to make a new structure low. Okay, so at this particular in this particular situation, it would be fair to say that price is likely going to break structure, and that expectation of price to get deeper into this or get back close to these lows is damn near impossible. Now, what does that do from a trading perspective? So if you got short up here, if you got short here, wherever it is that you got short, you need to have in mind what the boundaries are and what price should respect and what price achieved and what price was unable to achieve. Okay, we knew that after this much strength and this much weakness, price should have not had a strong correction, which it did. Still not a big deal, but that weakens the expectation. What did price achieve on the attempt to make the new structure low, since that was the expectation? With previous a lot of strength, price should have been able to, at the very least, test these lows. It was unable to. Instead, it got held up on this area of support, okay, and price found strong volume again back to the upside, as it had here. It weakened a little bit here, and you would expect that as price is doing what? Coming back into an area of structure, okay? Did price capitalize on that? No, okay? So then price is going to do what it has been doing on the short term, okay? Higher low, new structure high. Higher low, new structure high. Where is the overall expectation on this is price is likely to come back into this area of exhaustion, this area of structure, okay? This area of Fibonacci extension. And we can see that we have confluence of structure, harmonics, and ratio extension somewhere in this general area. And we almost always have, we would have to include this 1618 area up here. Okay, so this becomes the possible correction area, okay, for this particular situation. So had you been short here and your stop goes there, once you see price react to this level of structure from coming from where there should have been weakness, strength, okay, if you got into this trade because your expectations were clear, as they should have been, okay, however, they should have had an area of a little flag of caution because there was a lot of strength here where there shouldn't have been, especially after this. I know I've repeated that a couple of times, and I want to make sure that I repeat it again so that you guys can be aware. It's just because you have an expectation, you have to put that expectation into the context of what's happening around you and assess that with the order flow. Does the order flow support the expectation? Okay, has that expectation weakened because the order flow is weakening, because the order flow is changing? Okay, and there was a lot of signs here from an order flow perspective that told you that your expectations were weak. That doesn't mean they're not going to play out. Okay, but remember, structure analysis gives you an over 70% accuracy. That still leaves a potential 20 to 30% of expectations that are going to fail. This is how we filter those expectations that are likely to fail. We look at the order flow and let the order flow speak to us about the strength and weakness. Okay, are we trading into strength? Are we trading against strength? Okay, in this particular case, you were trading against strength if you were short. Okay, if you saw the weakness and you saw for an area to capitalize and probably go counter trend, okay, this is the general area where you would have done that because you had what? Structure support. Price came down with a lot of strength. Okay, found it relatively deep, even though it was weak, but it was deeper than expected. Okay, price should not have corrected this deep off of this strong projection to the downside with a lot of strength. Yeah, it took 8,000 candles to get up there, but it got up there. Okay, so all of these things are little signs, little clues that the order flow is telling you, hey, I know you have this expectation, but I'm telling you, man, it's going to be hard for that to happen. We got to listen and take everything into context. Okay, ask yourself, what does this mean? What does this do to my expectation? Does it strengthen it? Does it weaken it? Okay, that's all I have for right now. I hope that this had value and that it would have been hard for me to explain this in typing it out. Plus, it would have taken quite a few posts. So that's it, and I will be making that video tonight on the supply and demand, and we'll be putting that out. I'll be putting that out probably tomorrow in the morning. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm really proud of the work you guys are doing and how far you've come along, and to see so many people have already transitioned from being consistently unprofitable to being consistently profitable definitely brings a big smile to my face, and keeps me motivated to keep showing you guys and to keep putting this amazing system together for you step by step, so that we can cross that little threshold between the 90 and the 10. I definitely want you guys on my side of the fence. It's a lot funner here, but it's also lonely, so we need more people on this side, and that's my goal. All right, take care, talk to you guys soon.